some parts of Erev Rav seems to exist in the Canadian up to Israel right now, and they seems to be behaving in certain ways that is detriment to humanity. So I know there is a very small number, but there is some rabbis that start naming names. Is that the right approach?
So first, I understand that Erev Rav is defined as by the Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya. It says that our Erev Rav is any person who puts their physical life over the importance of their soul. In that moment, they are aligned with the Erev Rav. So we have to be very careful about pointing fingers, because when I'm enjoying like a really good chocolate cake, and I'm losing sight of everything else, that is the Alter Rebbe is saying, and we have to be honest about this, that he's saying that the Erev Rav is people who are part of the Jewish people, but they're just lost in short-sightedness, and we all fall into that. So that's number one. Number two is, for a person to say that they know who's a descendant of the Erev Rav is completely let them show the lineage. Let them show a line of a family tree, how they could prove. These people who are saying this can't even prove their own lineage, other than the fact that they're Jews. Most of them, unless they're a kohen, unless they're a priest, they could prove maybe that they're a priest, kohen, from back from the times of Aaron. And a few families could prove that they have a lineage going back to King David. But most people don't have a lineage proving. I can't prove what tribe I'm from. I don't have a family tree going back that far. So who am I to know what someone else's lineage is, how far back they go to someone from the Erev Rav. Number three is, or four, I don't know where up the number I'm up to, but the next thing is that people are confusing. I think the Erev Rav discussion is a big distraction from the real issue. And that is, the real issue is Amalek. The Torah speaks about Amalek as something that's rising up against the Jewish people in every single generation. It's going to be warring against God Almighty in every single generation. And that Amalek uses out people to be influencers in every single society. And that Amalek was identified by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, as being communists. Marxism is clearly has the methodologies and the ideologies of Amalek to fight against God, deny the existence of God, to sow hatred and strife in the world, to fight against the knowledge of God in the world. And this is with a militant hostility towards those that believe in God. Marxism, the Enlightenment is the thinking process that leads to Marxism and all the isms, Nazism, and all so forth. All this Enlightenment is they develop the stormtroopers in their little petri dishes of fomented development of the Enlightenment ideology into violence, and that's what Marxism is. Marxism is basically a front line of the Enlightenment, but this is all part of Amalek. And you have different, you have the Illuminati and different infiltrations of the Illuminati into other societies, and they created the Bundesgretchen, and the Bundesgretchen hired Karl Marx to write the Communist Manifesto, and so there's a whole lineage of Amalek working in ways to fight against God Almighty's revelation in the world and the knowledge of God in the world with great alacrity and without any let up. And we see the manifestation in our generation by removing God from the schools and promoting promiscuity and immorality and drug use, and all these things are the ways of Amalek to intentionally take humanity off track, and that's happening in every single country. So the people that are Marxists in the Holy Land, and are either elected or have some power or positions in the government, are are A, the same as the people in every other country that are doing the exact same thing. And B, the people in power and the governments are not the real people making the decisions. The people that you have to understand, behind every one of these government leaders is think tanks and councils and different organizations, stuff like that. They set the policy. There's not a single president that's come up with an original idea for over 100 years. There's not a single, the same thing in England. You have the Fabian Socialists, the Labour Party is the Fabian Socialists. These are, secret societies, ideological, religious, Enlightenment type societies with whole ideologies for the reshaping of humanity into the destruction of the Enlightenment, the destruction of Amalek. So when a guy gets up there and he's the president, he's the prime minister of England on behalf of the Labour Party, he doesn't have an original thought in his head, except whatever, maybe what he gets caught on the side that he wasn't supposed to be doing until he gets thrown out of office or whatever. But that's not really an original thought either. And the same thing as the other parties. They're all advancing that the situation never gets any better. There's a lot of pronouncements and statements that they're going to, this one's going to do this and he's going to restore the liberty to the people. And then he goes ahead and does the same thing the other party did. So in all these countries. So it's really a huge distraction to, first of all, focus on the Israeli government as a particularly unique problem, as opposed to all other governments that are completely infiltrated by Marxism and agents of Amalek and so forth. We see in the whole book of Esther is about the infiltration of Amalek into the government of Persia and how it used out the government of Persia to try to destroy its own population. So that's happening in every country. The particular challenge about when you have, as the Rebbe says, when you have a Jewish person who's involved in this, it's an extraordinary tragedy. It's an extraordinary calamity. You have a son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob who has fallen so far off track, who's lost sight of reality and who he really is so far that he's fallen into the trap of carrying out the obscene goals of Amalek. That's a devastating tragedy. It's a devastating tragedy for the Jewish people. And it's a devastating tragedy for the whole world. It's a real travesty.